These people always grow up to poor families, and they were lonely and they were losers. You know, David Koresh, he was lonely. He had trouble making friends. Jim Jones, he was a loser. Nobody liked him. He had trouble making friends. Jesus Christ probably was the same exact way. We know he was a carpenter. He had a low-class job. They were all losers. But these losers want to be something bigger than themselves, so they're obsessed with power. They want to be more powerful. They want people to pay attention to them. That's why they become these cult leaders. What do all cults have in common? They all are about worshiping the man and not the religious ideals. Okay? When you are worshiping a guru, then you know you're in a cult. Jim Jones espoused worshiping himself. He wanted people to worship him. Shoko Asahara made these stupid-ass videos. I saw some of them on YouTube. I highly recommend that you check them out, because they are creepy as hell. It's all about him, and these anime videos, he actually produced anime videos where he's floating in the air and shit like that. And it's always about him. People were forced to worship him. Now, why is it normal for Christians to worship Jesus Christ? Why is that normal? He was just a stupid carpenter. He was a loser. He was a nobody. What, because he died a long time ago? Is that the only difference? Well, you don't know anything about him then, do you? If a guy from Home Depot, another carpenter, said he was the son of God, would you worship him? Or would you think that this guy's nuts and he's trying to create a cult? So why is it different when Jesus did it? It's the same exact shit. We always hear stories about how perfect he was. He was immaculate. He never did any wrong. That's bullshit. He was very wrong. Probably. Just as wrong as Jim Jones or Shoko Asahara. When we read about these people, who is writing these books about them? Who? The people who like them. The people who worship them. So they're never going to say anything bad about them. The Bible's never going to say anything bad about Jesus. But the fact is, he was just a normal human being. He had to take a shit. He had to scratch his ass. He probably smelled bad. And he picked his nose, just like anyone else. He was not perfect. And these are just the so-called imperfections that normal human beings have, which is really not, there's nothing wrong with doing those things. I mean, we all do it. But his behavior probably was just as bad as Jim Jones or Shoko Asahara. They would rape girls, young girls. Jim Jones, Shoko Asahara. They would force them to have sex. Shoko Asahara made girls believe that, but if you had sex with him, you would get great, you would receive powers from him. That it was a very good thing to do, that this was desirable, and that if you didn't, then there was something wrong with you. Well, you know, one of the closest people to Jesus was a prostitute. He probably had sex with her all the time. He may have even had sex with other girls, young girls, underage girls. Who knows? It's entirely possible. In fact, I'd say it's probable. So, you are deifying a normal human being. There's something wrong with that. And I'm going to challenge any Christian to tell me what the difference is between worshiping Jim Jones and worshiping Jesus Christ. What is the difference? And don't tell me that Jesus was a superhuman, because the followers of Jim Jones believed he was a superhuman too. Okay, thought reformation is another sign of a cult. You know, focus on confession. These are all aspects of Christianity. They are trying to indoctrinate people from a very early age. And that's when they get them, at an early age, where they indoctrinate young children. And they force people to confess. Confess to this, confess to that. Even if you did not do a crime, you still have to confess to it, as long as you were suspected of it. And the confession is all that's important. They will never forgive you if you don't confess. That is how they control you. In these cults, they would have them do lots of manual labor and enforce sleep deprivation on them. And this was a very good way of controlling people, because when you have been deprived of sleep for a very long time, you are more willing to obey orders and do what you're told. Okay, this sometimes makes me think why at school they were always making us wake up really early, so we were deprived of sleep. Or maybe, you know, they would say, oh, well, you should have slept early. Well, come on, give me a break, fuck you. Okay, but that's another story. heavy exploitation from higher-ranking individuals in these cults. Namely, exploitation on an economic and sexual level. This happens in Christianity all the time. All the time. I have heard so many reports of sexual scandals in the Catholic Church from high-ranking priests who have been, who grew up in similar ways to Jim Jones and Shoka Asahara, and then let out their sexual frustration on little children who they were around all the time. Now, of course, Jim Jones forced women to have sex with him, and if you didn't, he would beat them publicly in front of everyone. He would beat them. And Shoka Asahara did the same exact thing. Economic exploitation. Christianity always does this. They are government funded. They get donations from people. They keep begging for donations. One thing about Scientology is how much you have to pay. If I can go into Scientology just for a little bit, how much you have to pay for anything. If you want to attend any of their classes, they make you pay lots and lots of money. That's how they get their money. That's how they get their funding, through economic exploitation. Now, the way that Shinrikyo did it was like a slow process of wheedling people down and gradually getting more and more money from them by making them believe that money was a burden and that Shoka Asahara had to take that burden. And the last thing is the followers believed that the leader had superpowers. Shoka Asahara, if you see his videos, the anime videos on YouTube, it always shows him levitating. It's showing him he can hover above the ground. He can defy gravity. Jim Jones was telling his followers how he can heal diseases, heal cancer, heal blindness, all kinds of ailments that his followers might have. He can heal them, he would tell them. And he would actually have gimmicks for making them believe that he could actually heal them. He would get like some fake intestines from lizards or something like that, and he would bring the person who was stricken with cancer of the stomach, I guess, and bring them to the back, and then do some kind of mumbo jumbo, hallelujah, hallelujah, you're good now, hallelujah, and then they would take out the intestines and they would say, here, these are your old cancer-infested intestines. The good intestines are back in your body now. And the moron would believe it. So they would do things like that. Now, what do Christians believe? Well, Christians believe that Jesus can walk on water. They believe that he can heal people. That he, if you drink his blood, that's good. Did you know that Shoka Asahara would sell all kinds of shit from his body? Like hair clippings. He would sell that. He would sell his fingernails. He would sell his bath water to followers because this was holy stuff. And if you receive these things, you become a better person and you feel more loved. And having more love is a good thing. So how's that different from drinking Jesus' blood? He told his followers to drink my blood. That's disgusting. And his followers believed he had superpowers. That he could rise from the dead. And idiots, they still believe that. They still believe that nonsense. They don't question it. Why aren't people questioning it? People question Jim Jones and Shoka Asahara in hindsight. But who doesn't question? The followers. So the followers, the majority of this country, of America, is Christian. That's why they don't question it. Just like Jim Jones's followers did not question it, or Shoka Asahara's followers did not question it. You have to question these things. That's why Christianity has been legitimized. It has nothing to do with it being true. It was a cult, and it still is a cult. The only difference is it's much more popular now than when it started out with just a carpenter, a prostitute, and 12 nutcases. And these cults are destructive. Jim Jones had his followers commit mass suicide. Over 900 people died. That was, up until that date, the most horrific loss of